What's up, everybody? Brett here, and I'm back today, excited to bring you even more updates and news about the new Blazing Deserts DLC for Battle Brothers. All right, so as I said last time, early morning every Friday, that's what it is for me. That's when the updates release, and that's when you can look for these videos. I peeked ahead a bit, and it seems to just be a lot of reading. The title of this is New Land, so if you don't mind, I'm just going to go ahead and start reading. I haven't read it yet, and I'm excited to find out what New Lands entails. So, the upcoming Blazing Deserts DLC for Battle Brothers will expand and enrich the world with new lands to the south, but it also brings a significant addition to tactical combat maps. Let's find out more. That's something I've been asking for basically since the beginning. The world. With the Blazing Deserts DLC, we want to add more flavor and variety to the southern part of the map. One part of the recipe to achieve this is a different geography. And so we're going to expand the world map with new lands to the very south to create one large and continuous world. Perfect, just like they did with the last two. These new lands are made up of blistering hot deserts, barren rocky hills, towering seas of sand, and lush jungles that hug the coast. You'll be able to reach them both by traveling as far south as your feet can carry you, or by taking the sea route from a northern port town. So harbors are going to become even more important than they were before. Lately, every time I start a new game, the map looks, it might as well be identical. It's just a giant landmass with, like, the sea around the outside of one part and then, like, indefinite wilderlands on the other side. So, having water play a bigger part, having that kind of travel play a bigger part is going to be pretty cool, I think. Well, I'm pretty landlocked on my current campaign. It says, even though the world is going to be larger, frequent autosaves in Iron Man mode will actually become faster thanks to some parallelization. Alright. Not an issue I've ever had. But this, so we see sparkling sands written here. So this is actually a picture of the overworld map. Very cool little details. Combat. Okay. The new sand is about to turn red with blood, as these new types of terrain will of course also make an appearance during combat. Behold the desert. Okay. Ancient Dead just chilling. I imagine it'll probably function a lot like snow. Maybe some movement penalties in the thick parts. Doesn't look like there's a lot of terrain or cover. An oft-requested feature for Battle Brothers is to portray any location that you're fighting at, yes, such as a graveyard or a brigand camp, also on the tactical combat map. Fighting Wiedergangers between fallen tombstones and not just in empty plains can add a lot to the atmosphere and flair to that tight battle that will decide the future of your company. We're happy to announce that the Blazing Deserts DLC will introduce a wealth of new location-based environments and combat to make possible just that. I'm so excited. God, I'm tired of looking at, like, this is green map, this is brown map, this is dark brown map. It's like, whew, let's get some cool terrain features. I understand they have to make new assets for that, but it's a big return, I feel, in terms of replayability, in terms of just, like they said, hyping up each individual battle. It feels more real. It feels more intense whenever you're fighting zombies in a graveyard. I totally agree with that. So good on them for that. And, they listen to the community. That's what I love about Overhyped Studios. They always seem to listen to the community to the extent that they can, of course. So the combat system of Battle Brothers, one of its strongest features, and most of us will agree, was designed for small-scale infantry combat on open or mostly open maps, and that's where it works best. Having the odd fight in more enclosed environments, such as in forests, can shake things up every now and then in interesting ways. It sure does. It did in my last episode, where I had to fight Unhold from every direction, and pretty sweet. But doing this too much can also wear on a player's patience. For example, the initiative system that works well in open field battles can become frustrating in tight quarters where 12 or more characters are constantly blocking each other. So with that in mind, let's talk about how environments based on location are going to work. Fighting brigands at their base camp will bring a dynamic to combat that is different from fighting them in the open field. That's a good thing because it adds more variety to combat in general, and because it adds another strategic dimension to the world map, where you'll now have to weigh the pros and cons of luring an opponent out of their base or fighting them at home. But while there'll now be walls, palisades, and gravestones, walls and palisades, shaping some of the maps, I can't wait for sieges. We'll also turn every map on a brigand camp into a siege. Oh, we also won't, that's the key word there. We also won't turn every attack on a brigand camp into a siege, or a fight in a dense forest of tents and barrels. It's not what the combat system was designed for, and consequently, it just wouldn't be fun. All combat will still take place outside, and most location-based objects are in fact cosmetic, meaning they'll provide a flavorful backdrop and tell a story of where you're fighting, but they won't get in your way and won't block your men from moving. I like that. I think there's room for cosmetics as long as, I'm looking down here, and this is kind of, some of this is sort of tough to tell what should be cosmetic and what's not. You'll get used to it in time, I'm sure, and I'm kind of looking ahead to some of these, but I think that's what we're noticing here. These, like, gravestones here appear to not be something that you need to worry about, whereas these bigger gravestones and piles of rubble, that's actually still cover and probably impassable. Okay. On top of that, we'll be adding a smaller selection of objects which actually do block tiles to change the dynamic of combat in a controlled way. For example, a brigand camp may be surrounded by palisades to create choke points, but there will be also enough open space both outside and inside to have a proper battle. So for me, this is cool, and I love the thematics of it, but I kind of do this already in forest battles, right? I pick an open space, and sometimes I like to let the enemy in which case I surround and slaughter them, or I like to hold the hot gates, if you will, put 2-3 men in a concave around one opening, do the same at multiple other openings, and then I control the gateways that way. So for me, it's almost like they're just changing a skin on a type of battling I've been doing for quite some time. But I'm still interested to see its implementation. I don't want to be negative at all until I see how it works. So while we take care to make it visually apparent which objects block a tile from being entered and which objects are merely cosmetic, we're also aware that it won't always be intuitively readable for everyone and in every situation. That's exactly what I said earlier. Again, it's a problem that you may have already encountered when fighting in the woods. Exactly. To alleviate this issue, we're introducing a new quality of life feature with the free update that comes along with the DLC. You'll be able to toggle it at any time to have highlighted in red tiles all the ones that are blocked by environmental objects, such as trees, by pressing a button on the top right or by pressing a hotkey. Useful for navigating those new environments in any forest alike. So it looks like they thought of it. My initial criticisms, they thought about it. So like I said, you look down here, to me, like, I can't walk on an open grave. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So it's not quite intuitive. I'm sure they'll do some tweaks in the future. You can walk through shrubs, but you can't walk through bushes. Yeah, so I like it, guys. It's them listening to the feedback of the players. They're making the maps more interesting. They're adding new terrain types. I'm sure a jungle will probably function a lot like a forest. I'm sure a desert will probably function a lot like the snow. But it's hard to say no to any type of variation and change in Battle Brothers that's for the positive. And guys, I think that's going to be it. I don't know how much more I can say about new lands. Anything else I say would probably just be a want or a criticism. If I were to go like a step further, I would say people have been asking for city battles. I would say if you're making battles reflect the landscape or the environment that you're supposed to be fighting in, there's definitely times that could call for an increased stepping up of the amount of terrain that you'd be adding, or the amount of backdrop pieces you'd be adding. But that's just a want. The world of Battle Brothers can be as complicated or simple as they're able to make it, and it looks like they're going with simple, and I can appreciate that. And yeah, I just look forward to not fighting on super plain environments for too much longer. So without any further ado, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Look forward to next week's. We might start getting looks at the weapons, the armor. We might start getting looks at maybe even the company origins. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen in the next week? I, for one, would love a more solid date on when they're going to drop, but I understand it's still probably at least 2 months out, I would imagine. If I had to guess, that's my cold guess, but at least 2 months out. So I understand we don't have a date yet, but we'll keep looking for that. But that's going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, my name is Brett. My channel is Good Talk Gaming. And as always, guys, I will see you in the next one. Let me know in the comment sections what you thought about these particular updates, what you would like to see. We had some great discussions in the first episode of this, and I look forward to many, many more. So that's it. Thanks, y'all, and see you later.